Good evening and welcome to the Bench Jewelers Workshop. The beginning 101-01 Jewelry making for fun, as a hobby, or more important, for profit. Never before have there been so many outlets in the jewelry industry or the general sales of any item you might have in your garage, things you make, jewelry beading. There's so many different things that you can sell and easily sell them on Facebook. Shop it, Etsy, eBay. So there's just a oodle amount of places that you can sell your product. So with that, let's get started a little bit. I've been a jeweler now for over 40 years, and time to teach the younger class of people the business. And I want to do it so that we can keep the trade going. It's the watchmaking and the clock and the jewelry, we're all kind of getting sidelined a little bit, especially the repair on the watches and clocks. However, jewelry is such a unique individual item that you're able to do this at home, and there's so many outlets, which I formerly mentioned, to sell your product. So if you learn how to make jewelry and design it and start with that, you can literally pay for the tools and equipment that you're going to need to expand your business. It's a wonderful stay-at-home way to make some money. So with that, let's get started a little bit. So, and I know a lot of people have probably made it much further than steps one, but for those of you who haven't, this is the ideal course for you. And it kind of starts from the very basics and shows you everything that you're going to need to move forward. And I link all the tools in my website that you can buy them, which is mybenchjeweler.com, and I'll have that linked below. We do a lot of individual manufacturing and sales for all kinds of product. You'll see that on our website. So let's get started here a little bit. To begin with, you're going to have some few basic tools. You're going to have a rotary machine of some sort to polish with. You're going to need a hand jeweler saw and a few little simple tools, files and things like that. So the first thing that we're going to have to learn to do in 101 is that we're going to have to learn how to saw with our jewelry pieces. And to do that, you have to have a base metal to start with. This is a base that I recommend is a piece of copper. I sell these in little strips. I think these are 1 inch wide by 6 inches long, and that's all you really need to get started. I don't recommend that you start right in with sterling silver. However, you can do that, and be prepared. It's kind of expensive, and the last 15 years it's just gone skyrocketing. So if you want to learn, and you can sell copper, by the way, it will turn skin green if you wear it long enough. But you can also take the back side of it and spray it with a lacquer coat, and it'll last months or years without causing any problems to turning green. Copper has a reaction that doesn't do well on skin, so it doesn't hurt you any. A lot of people wear copper braces to combat against arthritis. I don't know that it works or not, but a lot of people do believe in it. So, and I've made over the years hundreds of pieces of copper rings, copper bracelets, copper necklaces for people who felt that worked. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? The basics here is that we're going to have a saw frame, and a saw frame is a jeweler's saw frame. It looks like right there. Now you can see mine's quite old, and you can spend hundreds of dollars on them, or you can spend a few dollars on them. We sell one that's intermediate. This is a nice saw, and you can see that I've had this for 30 years, and this is what you use. it's you don't need these $100 saw frames that are made out of aluminum that are supposed to be lightweight. This is lightweight as you can get, and works just fine. So what I'm trying to show you and recommend to you are tools that you can get by with. And then if you want to find that you really love the business and you want to expand in it, there's nothing wrong with buying a little higher quality equipment. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's any better or not, but that's kind of how I look at it. So now a jeweler's saw works a little bit different from a hacksaw. Hacksaws, the teeth point the opposite direction. So let's kind of go through that. So on the hacksaw, we'll just draw it. Your teeth, let's go out. Your teeth point forward like that. Wonderful, huh? So if this is a hacksaw blade that you had in a hacksaw frame, this is how your teeth would have to point. But on a jeweler's saw, we don't want the stroke cutting on the forward side. We want the stroke cutting on the back side. So on a jeweler's saw, your teeth point backwards like this. So when you put it in the frame, you want those teeth pointing back at your handle. And when you pull the jeweler's frame, it cuts on the back stroke, not on the forward stroke. So that's the big difference between a hacksaw type and a jeweler's. And a lot of innocent people have made the mistake of putting their jewelry blade in backwards so that it goes to the front. Not the way to do it. You have 10 times the control with it going backwards. Now, years ago, I had a friend, and his name was Mark, and he was a learner of his own. And I went to school for 3 years to learn jewelry and watchmaking and clocks, and he learned from being taught, self-taught. And there was a big difference because he never did learn how to use his jewelry saw right. He always used it on the forward stroke, and he broke a lot of blades. But you know what? Over the years, I helped him, and he helped me. So we did some wonderful things during that period of time. So as a lot of you found that you're staying home more and more, and there's less for you to enjoy outward with this COVID-19, and I don't like to harp on that thing, but it has brought people inside and with less things to do. This is a wonderful hobby, and it turns into a profitable one. So as you're buying your tools, hopefully you'll be able to get your tools paid for as you sell your jewelry. I like personally eBay and my own website, and we also use Facebook once in a while on the exchanges there. Everybody's got exchanges you can get into and do very well with it. So you have to keep in mind where your best target is to sell your jewelry. But I want to show you how to build jewelry that will sell. And what better way to do that than at home on your own little bench. So as we get into this, I'll show you some tricks. You can work on your kitchen table and have a little toolbox with your tools in it. You want to keep all your tools out of the reach of children, obviously. Little parts and pieces and things like that, we just don't want them to get near that. Plus your tools are sharp, so we'll go on into that a little bit. So the first thing we want to start doing is coming up with a design, and I want you to start at the very, very beginning, at the very basics. So that means we got to learn how to use the saw and saw out our parts. And then after we've sawed our parts out, we got to learn how to make them look, unique, so that the items are one of a kind and they'll sell. And what better way to do that than maybe just sitting down and doing a drawing. So let's start. I use a pencil, by the way, and we just make a little a little circle like this, and we're just going to make this, and we're going to go about this wide. Now that's about two millimeters, and we're going to come down here like this. We're going to make kind of a feather like that. Now let's just put a rib right down through the middle. Now let's make a little line right here and a little line right here, and let's make a little feather cut right in here, and maybe let's make a little feather cut right up here. So maybe another one right there. There's the little fellow. Now let's just bring that stem out a little bit, and we're going to kind of give ourselves a little design pattern in that. Maybe we'll put a little circle here and here and here and here and here, and that's kind of what your little jewelry piece is going to look like. So let's get in here a little bit closer. Now the easiest way to do that is to cut your little piece out of the paper, out of a piece of drawing paper like I have, and we'll glue it right onto the copper, which is this little piece right here. So let me get this cut out with a pair of scissors. You can use a little X-Acto knife if you want, and then we'll move on forward here in just a minute. Okay, I used a pair of scissors and I just trimmed this little fella out. Now to give you a perspective of this whole thing, it's this piece here is roughly, you get a little piece of copper about 1 inch, and I think it's about 6 inches long. So you're looking at a 1 inch piece right here. And I used a little bit of crazy glue. I used thick because it gives you a little bit more time to get your piece laid in there and move it around a little bit. Now we're going to let that dry for just a second, and when it does, we'll have a perfect idea of how to cut this out. And don't worry about getting it off of there after you're all done. We'll show you how to do that too. So our first item is a pair of scissors, which common scissors work just fine, or you can use a little X-Acto knife. You can get these at any hobby store. And a piece of drawing paper, any kind of drawing paper works. And we're going to make this a nice little design for our first little piece. Now you can easily copy this with the piece that you cut out, and that would allow you to make maybe a set of earrings out of this. So let's move on now, and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, while our little feathers drying on the copper sheet, I just wanted to go through this one more time here. I think you can see them if I come over here. These, this is the handle, and my teeth are pointing towards the handle, as you can see them. So that's going to cut when I pull the handle backwards. All right, pull backward. So it's on the back stroke that you want your blades to cut. Now it's easy enough to replace these. You just put your blade right inside there. Now you can see mine's curled because I've used it. But you can take your saw. I don't know that I can get this in there or not. Let's see. Yeah, we can. You take your saw, you put one inside, and you bend the frame forward just a little bit. And you push the saw forward. See how that's kinking? You tighten the back clamp on there, and voila, your blade is in place, and the saw teeth are toward the back. So it's going to cut when I pull backward. Caution you, these are extremely sharp blades, and in the jewelry business, you can cut yourself really bad if you don't have your fingers out of the way while you're sawing. So keep that in mind. All that stuff's got its little hazards, and it does hurt. So this is a bench block, and this is the bench pin. And I sell one that you can clamp right onto a kitchen table, but you're going to have to make sure there's a couple pieces of wood in between, which again I'll show you a little bit later on. So first line of business, you're going to have a piece of copper, which I sell these in 1" by 6" strips, and they'll be in the links down below. You'll need a jeweler's salt frame, which I'll show you later on in the links below. And the first thing we want to do is cut this little fella out. So without further ado, let's see if we can do that without causing any problems. Nice and easy. Just nice and easy. Let the saw do the work. Don't push it.